Hello, welcome to Your Opinion Podcast, and this is the third episode of this podcast. And like we said, on our first episode, we saw how you guys are overwhelmingly subscribing to the channel and commenting and liking, what you've watched so far. So this third episode, we are also going to be giving you exciting thing that is going on around the world. Like I said earlier, this is not like a news show, but this is like unfiltered opinion of what is going on around the world, especially in the home country of Nigeria and, in the world of sports. So today, as you all know, who is joining me today is my co-host, Jude Chevy. How are you doing today, Jude?
Very well, thanks.
And don't forget, it's your boy, Royal, again on Your Opinion Podcast. I would like us to, the most important thing right now that I think it's trending. I don't know, maybe, our viewers might know that, but it's 2026 World Cup.
Okay.
Right? And the World Cup, as it's fast approaching, we've seen the likes of different countries, how they are sending off their players and how they are being welcomed in the States, and this very big ceremony, which is one of a kind that different countries are doing. Mm-hmm. So I've seen the likes of Turkish team when they are going to the airport, as there's a massive loads of cars. They were like going with the players,
convoy, right?
Going to the airport.
Which was really, really fun.
Which was really amazing. So I saw that. I saw Argentina team, customizing their playing with number 10, Messi. Maybe this is going to be his last World Cup tournament. Who knows? And Brazilian as well, baptizing their plane, which maybe that's going to really have an effect on on their games. I don't know, but it's funny to see that, right?
Well, it's amazing. It's funny as well, but I don't think it has anything to do with what it is they're going to do on the football pitch, right?
Of course, definitely.
Well, it's actually a very good send off, and that's very nice to see.
And the Vikings, the Norway,
yeah.
I was like, who's bringing all this idea?
Haaland was looking like Ragnar,
Exactly. So I was like, who's bringing all this idea? Like, it's really fun to watch, and I think I like the idea of people showcasing their culture and
putting
a little bit of taste to World Cup.
Yeah, it's actually very interesting to see.
Yeah, and and the Spanish team as well with the Loewe. I think that was like a designer that they were wearing, which was very interesting to see. So, but moving on from that, I think this tournament is one of its kind because it's 48 teams. Usually it used to be a little bit lower than that. 32, right? So it's 48 teams, which means a lot of countries were able to participate more. And it's being hosted in 3 countries, which is US, Canada, and Mexico. And vast majority of the game is going to be in US. And the other ones are Mexico and Canada. But before I ask my question, I quickly want to say we've seen the likes of countries that were unexpected, like is it Jamaica? No,
I think Jordan.
Yeah, Jordan, Cape Verde. I think it was Jamaica.
There are actually a lot of them that they're making their first
first tournament. So it's really interesting to see that. But Bosnia, I think they've been there before.
Of course, they've been in the World Cup before.
They've been there, right? Yeah. So, but
it's so sad to see that our favorite country, Nigeria.
All right,
it's not.
Can you imagine that?
It's not there in the World Cup.
Can you imagine that one of the most populous country in the continent
in Africa
cannot even provide a good players, or maybe it's politics, I don't know. But one of the most populous country.
Everything happening in Nigeria boils down to politics.
Yeah,
you understand.
And I wish it's not like that. I wish that they can just pick people based on merits.
No, actually, so far so good. They've been actually calling players based on merit in the Super Eagles, from what I've seen in recent time, though. But it's just, having not being able to pay the players at the right time, owing, salaries on a consistent basis and all that. It actually demoralizes. People don't see that part, They only want to see players come to the pitch and play. there's always like a factor behind that, pushes this player to do more than what you think they are doing in the field, right? They can actually do more than that. If you give them all the support, all the resources, right? Of course, they'll put in their best, and I think that was one of the reasons why, we didn't actually qualify for the, FIFA 2026 World Cup. There are many other reasons as well, but I think it's also one of the reasons. We are not going to neglect that part. Do you understand? So it's very disappointing to see that Nigeria, is not here it's not going to be part of the 2026 FIFA World Cup that will be happening in just few days, and it's not nice.
And what surprised me was that this is the first time that they expanded the country teams that can actually go. And that was
10 teams. How the first time in the history of
how in the world that one of the biggest country in the continent will not be able to make up that list. It's I'm not trying to discriminate any country right now, but if Cape Verde, who the hell knows Cape Verde? When it comes to football, right? And they can make it. I think that if Nigerian can be that, I don't want to use the word incompetence, because it's actually so interesting that a big country like that would not make the list of 48 countries, right? So that is something that it's mind-blowing to me. And it shows how, unprepared they are.
Yeah, that's what you should
because
say.
I don't see any reason why Nigerians should not qualify for this tournament. It's a 48 teams in the world. And if likes of country as little as Cape Verde, as Jordan, as Iraq, can make the list, what about you that you have varieties of players playing in major league?
In some clubs in Europe. We have one of the best strikers in the world.
Yeah. That kind of a thing. And then you didn't make that list, right? So I think that they should do more than just playing or whatever they need to do, because the next World Cup that is going to be hosted here in Spain, I think that if they are still playing or behaving that way, they probably will not make that list as well. Because I don't know, maybe this next tournament, they're even going to extend it a little bit more. I don't know how true that is, but I was hearing some news about that they are going to add more sports into the tournament. So because this next World Cup after the 2026 in 2030 in Spain is also going to be in 3 continents: Europe, South America, and Africa. So they will host some tournaments here in Spain, in Portugal, and then in Morocco. Then they will host the first opening game in Uruguay, which is sort of like they are honoring Uruguay as being the first country where football started. The FIFA Cup started in Uruguay, so they want to use that to honor the 100th year anniversary of football. So there will only be one match in Uruguay, and the rest is going to be between Spain, Portugal, and Morocco, which is going to be very, very exciting. Yeah. I hope that I'm going to be here to watch that. Hopefully, I will be. But yeah, continuing with what we are discussing about the 2026 World Cup in US, Mexico, and Canada, that Nigeria could not make that list. It's very, very poor performance, and I think they should do more than that if they want the next one.
I think we can actually do better, if we want to qualify for the next World Cup. Why? Because we have a good manager right now.
That coach.
Previous managers actually cost us the World Cup, right? Like I said, it boils down to politics and all that. So ever since Eric Chell, took over the job as the Super Eagles manager, I think there have been some sort of stability in the national team, and there've been, results, over the last games we've played in, in the national team. So if we can actually maintain, Coach Eric Chell as our coach moving forward, I think we'll do better. I think we'll qualify for the 2030 World Cup. Not just even qualifying for the World Cup. I think we might even eventually go on to winning the African Cup of Nations.
Okay.
Right before then, because I feel like he's a very, very good coach. He's one of the coaches in recent time that I've seen that have built some sort of relationship with the players. If you check back, the other coaches we had, Finidi, I'm not saying he's a bad coach, but his measures were too strict.
Right.
And it was more like, a problem for the team. If you remember the squabble he had with Victor Osimhen, and, some other coaches too in the past, right? They have this thing of not being so close to their players. And for some reason, it's going to affect them. You understand? It actually affected us. So I feel like Eric Chell's relationship with the players has actually made him a more better coach than the previous coach we've had. And obviously, we are seeing the results. So I think it's going to be better and best if we actually keep Eric Chell as Super Eagles coach. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, definitely. My hope is I'm going to keep hoping that the next tournament we're going to qualify. And like you said, in the African Cup of Nations, probably it would be best if we win it this time. Because I think the last two tournaments, we really, really performed well. Yeah. Especially the last one that happened, I was so like this, Nigeria is going to win this next one. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, it happens that we lost. And we lost and so, but we'll see. But still talking about the World Cup, I also want us to talk about the scenarios of things that's going on regarding players are being denied entry. Yeah. One Switzerland player, his visa was I think it was disapproved.
Really?
It's because there are some certain passports when you want to travel to US, you have to request for ETA, electronic travel authorization. Mm-hmm. So you don't really need to go apply for a visa. Once you apply for that ETA, then they approve it. I think it's like within 3 days or so. So once they approve that, then you can travel to the States. Mm-hmm. But his ETA was not approved. I don't really know the story, the big story behind it, but it wasn't approved, and now he was not able to go with his teammates. So now they're saying he needs to go to apply for a visa before he can. And then it gets to a question of, why do you give a country that will host a World Cup that will not, I understand the national security reason, but this is a World Cup. Right. And I think the American society itself doesn't really know much about football. Yeah. Because if they have a football, which is like a handball, mm-hmm. And they're calling that football, whereas billions of people in the rest of the world know what a football is. So I don't think they really know much about the sport itself, rather than just making history that, we hosted the World Cup as well. Because we know that US team, tell me the last time they were able to get to a semi-final.
They've not even been to the semi-final.
I know the US women team, which they are brilliant, right? Those women team are brilliant. I think they've won the World Cup more than any other country in the history of Women's World Cup. So I know them in that part. The female sport of football in America, which they call it soccer, is in the female part is really very broad compared to the men. But when you are hosting a big tournament as the World Cup, people you don't like they are going to participate. Countries that you don't like, like the likes of Iran, Iraq, many countries in the Middle East, because the tournament is World Cup. It's not a designation of certain countries, right? It's the world, and every world, as long as it's an autonomous state, they have the chance of participating in it. And if they participated and they were able to qualify for the tournament, I think the right thing to do is to allow them the chances to be there.
Chances,
it doesn't matter what your political aspect might be. This is a World Cup that they have the chance to be there. They qualified for it, so they should be there. Then if you have any security reason, then you can do a proper security checks, and maybe designated a police car outside of their hotel, whatever, monitoring the player, that is within your right. But the right not allowing them to participate because of one thing or another, I think that is absolutely, disgusting, in my opinion. And I just want us to, I want to hear what you think about that.
Yeah, the hostility towards the players from the US government, ahead of this 2026 FIFA World Cup is really not it's not nice, because just like you said, if you want to be part of the host for the World Cup, you should be hospitable, when it comes to receiving players and all that, because as far as I know, football has everything to do with togetherness, oneness. So together, it's more like bringing everybody together.
Right?
Do you understand? That is the essence. You see people from different continents coming together to just play one game.
Right.
So that is the essence. I guess they don't actually know the essence.
Exactly.
That's why they are being too hostile towards this player. And one thing that I saw amongst the many other chaoses that we've seen so far, ahead of this 2026 World Cup, is the fact that the best referee in Africa, from Somalia, Omar Atan, was denied entry. After struggling with visa, as a matter of fact, he was even issued a diplomatic passport so that he can actually, participate in these tournaments. And to see that he was not allowed into the United States because some reason, I don't even know the reasons, because. And one thing I don't even understand is the fact that FIFA hasn't even come out to, put up a statement.
Actually, they do. They do. They do. What they said, which I think is very ridiculous, by the way, they said that they do not participate in the country's immigration system when it comes to the immigration of people they allow into their country or not. Rightfully so, they can have autonomous about the immigration system of their country, which they have the right to do. Yeah. But this is a tournament. I think there should be some keys and aspect of things that a host country should be able to accept if you are going to host this kind of tournament, right? If you know that your country is bidding to host a World Cup, which it is a World Cup, that's why they call it World Cup. Yeah. Every country participated in it, right? So if you're going to be hosting a World Cup, you have to set aside a different rules for that. Because definitely there will be countries that you sanction, like Iran. It's sanctioned by U.S. government, right? So if you have North Korea, definitely they are not playing the World Cup anyway. But there are some countries that are being sanctioned by U.S. Government, and if you sanction those countries, which rightfully so, you can do that. But when it comes to this kind of tournament, there should be a different categories of how you can allow them if they participated in that tournament, which I think FIFA is also absolutely ridiculous with their way of handling things, because you cannot allow a host country to be deciding who. Do you know the kind of effort it takes people to get into that tournament, to qualify for it, the stress, the skills, the time, and then you get into that sport with your country, which millions of people are rooting for you. Oh, honestly, my country is playing the World Cup. And disturbing. Then for them to go into the World Cup, then you started saying, oh, by the way, because of this and that, you will not be able to do it. It's absolutely ridiculous. So for the referee, I think, what they've done in regards to his situation, allegedly, I don't know much about it, but they said he would not be able to participate in that tournament to referee any game, allegedly, because of one thing or the other, which I don't know. But I think it's ridiculous the way everything is being handled. Why is it that when it comes to countries like US hosting the World Cup, we've seen the likes of Qatar, we've seen the likes of even Russia, when they hosted the World Cup, we see how people were able to get in. Yeah. They created a special visa categories so people can get in. And, within that tournament, maybe it's for, which usually takes like 4 or 5 weeks. They created a special category visa for that, so they can do that tournament and then get out, right? So, and
whatever reasons it is that that may have made them deny the best referee
in the whole continent, right?
The country is not justifiable. Whatever reasons FIFA have come out to state, I don't think it's justifiable, because I feel like, just like you said, there should be plans, in place for these things.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? These people, you already know the people that are coming for, this particular tournament. You understand? Details of these people have been sent to you beforehand. So just having to turn them down, die minutes, it's not really making sense, to me. So imagine what is happening with Iran. You understand? They are being punished for a situation they have no control over, right? Because in as much as I understand their security consciousness, right? But you're punishing the people that are not meant to be punished.
Right.
They do not have a hand in their government's political or military actions.
Right. Those players, I'm sure they have to be very, very careful. Yeah, that's what I think. They have to be very careful about, being apolitical, right? Because of what they can say or not say. We know how things are being handled in such countries.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to be very careful. You as a one single player, you can talk about how bad. Of course, I know there will be some of those players that don't support their government, right? But I don't think they will have the audacity to say it out there.
They know what's at stake.
Yeah, if they are safe, if the government, let's assume that the US government is going to give them like a protection. Are they going to give their family back in Iran protection?
Definitely not.
So definitely a single person can have like as much as 15 family members back in their own country, right? So they have to be very careful on what they are going to say.
However it plays out, I feel like it's an unfair treatment.
Yeah.
Because what I actually observed, or like from my research, is that there would be, arriving US soil on match days and leaving the same day after match.
Imagine?
That is very, very unfair. That is going to put them, in a competitive disadvantage.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Right.
Because there won't be time for pre-match preparations, recovery routines, and it will also affect their nutritional balance. Do you understand?
Of course.
You have them, go through the stress of traveling from, Mexico down to wherever it is they want to play their games. Most of their games are being played in the US.
Right.
Do you understand? So it's really, really an unfair treatment to them, because imagine, and I heard that their last game, it's in Seattle, right? And it's gonna be, from what I actually researched, it's like 20 hours from Tijuana, to Seattle.
Yeah, because
do you understand?
Because one thing that I don't know if a lot of people know about US is that the country is so big, and each state is like a country in Europe. I believe California alone is bigger than the entire Spain. That's how big they are from one state to another. And major of Iran's game are played in the US. So that means they have, at least within the table, they have like 4 matches or 3 matches, right?
Yeah, 3 matches.
Yeah, in the US alone. And they have to be commuting back and forth, But I think Mark Rubio, which is the Secretary of State of America, said, I don't know how true this news was, but he mentioned that they choose not to, or something like that. Which I don't believe.
What? Not to
that the player
remain in the United States. No, it's not true.
That's what I meant. Like, I don't think that's true.
It's not true.
I don't think they would want to choose not to be
they
there.
wouldn't jeopardize their chances of performing very well.
Well,
just because of the fact that they feel unsafe.
Right.
Do you understand?
Right. So I don't know if you have more things to add to that.
I just feel like it's unfair if they can actually reconsider and just try and be, when it comes to making sure that everyone is comfortable, right? So that every team can actually give in their best, because it's a very, very competitive tournament. So if they can actually look back and, because it also affected their fans as well. They are the only teams that would lack, fans, and so many of their officials too were also denied visas, right? Some are still under review. So it's going to be a mental, it's going to affect them mentally. And I think if they can actually try to, look for a way to make them more comfortable I think it's going to be very much of a good thing if they do that. Yeah.
Right. And, if they are treating the players that are actually going to be playing the tournament like
how
that,
much more the fans.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of fans that are already complaining. Yeah. High prices of tickets.
Yeah. For me, like
accommodation and all that, it's really worrisome.
It's not something that I would want to do. It's not because of, traveling there, but it's because of the fact that I have to spend a huge amount of money just to go to watch a game, right? Because right now it's, don't even get me started with accommodation and things in all these states. And they specifically are choosing expensive cities like San Francisco, like LA, like New York, like Newark in New Jersey, Seattle that you talk about. It's a very expensive state, so these are really major expensive states in the country. And the city, like San Francisco, do you know that in San Francisco, the minimum wage there is like $18 per hour?
I have no idea.
Yeah, that's how much you earn. Because one of my godfather lives there in San Francisco, and it's ridiculous. That's how expensive the city is.
Wow.
And now you need to book accommodation. You need to the ticket itself is expensive.
It's very
and now that there is going to be a tournament, it's going to skyrocket because it's a very heavily touristic city itself, and there is going to be a tournament, so it's going to double. So, but anyway, moving on from that. I also wanted to touch base on Eriksen because what happened again? He's unconsciousness, right?
Yeah, it's really a sad situation for him. And I feel like I think it's time for him to
retire.
Retire. For him, I think it's time for him to say, you know what, I'm done. I no longer want to play. What he's done for football is actually commendable, and we all respect him for that. But I feel like now it's time for him to actually prioritize his health more than, I can understand the feelings, as a professional player.
As a player yourself. Yeah.
Sometimes when you get to 50, you still don't want to stop.
Yeah, when you love something so much.
You love something so much, you want to keep on doing it and doing it. So the only time I think you just maybe try to stop what it is that you love doing is when you feel like your body no longer carries you. You understand? Then you start reducing it, bit by bit and all that. But having this situation, reoccurring with Christian Eriksen is something that we don't want to see in football, right? We like I said, we the fans prioritize the players, and I think the players also prioritize their health, much more than the game. In as much as we know how much they love the game, right? And we just feel like it's time for him to wrap it up, right? Because I think there's a medical device implanted in him, right? Yeah, I think it's
I don't know about that.
Yes, I think it's called defibrillator or something like that.
Oh, yeah. I remember.
It was actually the help of that, device that stabilized him. What the machine actually does is, when there's some sort of abnormality in your heart, it sends something that looks like an electric shock, right? Sense. And then it brings back your heart to its normal state. Yeah. So that was what actually kept him in balance, when that thing happened. And I just feel like it's time for him to retire. He's really done a lot for football, and we love him.
Yeah.
We care about him much more than what he's done.
Yeah, his name is going to be remembered in the history of football as
Christian
one of
Eriksen,
the best.
if you're watching, we love you, and we just want you to, stay safe.
Yeah, prioritize your health.
And he actually put up a statement, right? I think I saw it this morning saying, being grateful to the fans and, football lovers who wished him well and all that. He just came out to actually tell us that he's doing well. He's very much okay at the moment. All he's concerned about is, staying safe and, spending time with his family. And I think that's the best thing he should do. We are just actually maybe waiting for an official retirement letter from him because I know how these things can actually be. He might decide after like maybe 1 month he feels the need to want to go back into the pitch, and play because of how much he loves the game. Do you understand?
Right.
But like I said, we prioritize your health much more than what you do in the field. So I wish you well and a quick recovery, Christian Eriksen.
Right. It's a really sad thing to see. When I saw that match and eventually when he became unconscious, I was like, oh no, not again.
Not again.
Right.
Not again.
So, and the player really did well because they kind of put him in a circle and cover it.
Almost like a replica of what happened the first time.
They guarded him because they don't want
that's one thing
to.
About football, right? You see
And
the
that's
oneness.
how it's supposed to
you see
be,
the oneness, the togetherness. The last time it happened, right, it was practically the Denmark's team that surrounded him. In as much as the opponents, right, were also in shock, they were really worried about the situation, right? But this time around, it was almost like the whole team from both sides that actually surrounded him and all that. This should go a long way to tell you that football is a team of togetherness. It brings about unity and all that.
Right.
You get, and having to see this scrutiny from the US government concerning, letting players in. I even saw a video of how they had to, stop the Senegal players at the airport and giving them thorough search and all that. Like they were just commoners. These are professional footballers, right? Yes, like we all know, right? We understand how security conscious they can be. We all know how it is with US security and all that. But like we said earlier, this is the World Cup. People that are actually coming to your country. If this kind of treatment, this kind of scrutiny is given to maybe just a random person who, I'm not saying everyone deserves to be equal, right? Everyone deserves equal right. But these are professional players, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
I believe they should have been vetted before they arrived.
They shouldn't be treated as, just
like
an ordinary, like criminals, if I would use that word.
Yeah, so, I mean, they are treating them like they are criminals.
So,
and that is absolutely ridiculous.
Ridiculous, honestly. So I feel like the US government should reduce their scrutiny when it comes to, the way they handle professional footballers in this ahead of this 2026 World Cup. Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, well, I hope they can hear it.
That's why I say I feel like they should.
I hope they hear that. But anyway, so I just the tournament hasn't started yet, but because it's going to be huge. What team is your top 2 team that you are really hoping to see that they're going to win this tournament? What country? I'll go first. Well, I think I'm really looking forward to France team and also England team. I think those are like my 2 top team. And when I was looking at the statistics, they were given to Spain, to France, to England. So I think Spain and France, they have like the highest score, and then England follows, and then Argentina and Brazil. So, but to me, if based on the stats and the players that are representing each of these teams, I think that they might actually have a chance. And we can see what France did in the past 2 tournaments. They were able to get the first in Russia, and then in Qatar they get to the finals. And this team that is going again, I mean, can you see the likes of Mbappe, Dembele? Can't they still going?
They are packed with stars, man.
Like I was like, okay, well, I need to look, forward to this team, and also the English team. Yeah, I was talking to one of my friends yesterday in the UK, and he said to me that, there's like a huge ceremony going on right now in England because of, the tournaments. Since a lot of people are, can afford to go, so they are creating like a different spot in every area, in every street. like a party, a little party, so that people can come together and watch the game. And it's, there's a lot of pub and beer to celebrate that. So, and aside from that, just the team itself, Jude Bellingham, Declan Rice, Bukayo Saka. I really hope Bukayo Saka is going to light up this tournament. Right? I hope he's going to shine, because I'm really looking forward to that guy. So, what's your top two team?
Well, my first team, based on quality, right, that I think would do better or maybe go on to winning the World Cup, his first team is Spain.
Okay.
Because I feel like they have what it takes to
Lamine Yamal
to come out.
I don't actually know a lot of these players that are
they're actually Spain. Good players. The likes of Pedri, Gavi, though people condemned the issue of inviting Gavi into the.
But I think that is a brilliant player.
Yeah, he was actually injured almost like the whole of the season, right? He just recently recovered, and people were questioning the fact that he was called up and all that. But he's a versatile player, and he's actually very, very important in that team. Very fantastic player. So they have quite like good players. Pedri, Lamine Yamal, and so on. As Danny, what's his name? The likes of many like Rodri and so on and so forth. They are like very good players that I think that can actually do better, in the Spain national team. And that's my number one team, and that's based on performance. What I think they can actually do, right?
And Argentina.
My second team is Argentina, right? Because of Messi's influence, right? As you know that I'm
I know
huge fan of Messi, right? Because he's actually the greatest of all time.
Oh yeah,
right?
Well, that is debatable.
Okay,
yeah, well, because I would say it's Ronaldo.
Okay, no problem.
But that's
debatable. That's your own.
That's
take,
why I
right?
said can argue about it back and forth.
It's all right. Yeah. But that's the second team I'll be rooting for. Right. In as much as I feel like they have, they have limited quality players.
You mean the Argentina team?
Yeah, the Argentina national team. They have like decent players, but when it comes to you want to go head to head with like other countries like Spain, France, even Portugal. Argentina. When it comes to head to head, if you want to compare their players,
because I forgot about Portugal.
Portugal has one of the best squad in Europe
in this tournament as well.
Yeah, in this tournament. So, like I said, if you want to go head to head with comparing players from Argentina to players in Spain, France, and Portugal, you see that Argentina have like limited quality, of players. But just that influence, that influential person in that team, Messi, just gives them, a very big edge.
Right.
Do you understand? You saw what he did. You saw what he did in the previous World Cup. How he took the world by even when people thought he was just. I wasn't surprised, because I know what he can actually do. But people thought he was finished and all that. But see what he did, right?
Yeah.
And we are still seeing what he's doing, And the fact that he is being in the US, right, playing in the US Major League Soccer, right?
Right.
Before this tournament, it was more like a calculated thing. Do you understand? Because
so
just
you
more
think?
Like,
okay.
He has gotten acclimatized to the weather. He knows most of these pitches that are going to be used in the in the FIFA 2026 World Cup. He's actually played on these pitches. You understand? So it's not actually a new thing for him anymore. He's been acclimatized to the weather condition of the country, the pitches, the fans and everything. So it's going to be like a very big boost, for the Argentina national team. So that's one of the reasons why I'm supporting them. You understand? So those are my two teams. And then in Africa, obviously we should have like a team in Africa since
I'm supporting Senegal.
We Nigerians since the Nigerian team didn't actually qualify for the World Cup, I will be supporting Senegal. I'll be rooting for Senegal.
Okay. Then we have a commonality on that.
Yeah, I will be rooting for Senegal.
I'm also rooting for Senegal because, of course, I'm not going to support Ghana because
you don't have to state it. Anyway, Morocco
I just want to put it out there. Like,
Morocco also have like a very good team. Like they're actually a very, very good team. Do you understand?
Yeah,
they can actually do better.
And they are the most rated African team in the FIFA list, more than any other team. And after Morocco, there was Senegal. So yeah, I think they're going to really perform well because we saw what they did the last tournament. They really surprised a lot of people. And that gets me to the question of, what team do you think we are going to be like, wow, we are not expecting that in this tournament?
Well, I can't actually pinpoint a team because obviously there's always an offset when it comes to football every time. So it's not something that should be surprising, right? If I should say, you see, there's a certain kind of way we underrate Cape Verde.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know, for some reason I feel like that team is actually a very good team. If you watch their qualifiers, how they played, they stayed top of their group for so long. Do you understand? So, and I watched them consistently. You know, their style of play, you know, they have players that could actually hold the ball, you know, they have a pattern. Do you understand? It's been long that I have seen an African country actually play at some point, that level. At some point, they were playing like prime Spain.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
In as much as when it comes to quality wise, you know, obviously they are the least ranked team when it comes to quality wise. But you know, as a team collectively, right, they have a structure, you know, and they have a very good manager as well. So I think that team would go. I think they would actually put up a certain kind of surprise. Maybe go past the group stage, go to the knockout stage, and who knows? Maybe I don't know. I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean.
Always,
like,
and there's always like an offset.
You know?
Yeah, there's always an offset in football. So I'm not going to be surprised if I see them.
I will be, to be honest. And what my contribution to that about the team that I think is going to surprise us is Haiti.
I don't think so.
So I think they should. Why I say they would surprise me is because I believe that a lot of people don't really think that Haiti would be the country that, you know, anybody would be expecting them to do anything, to perform anything, right? So if they perform and if they even actually get out of that group stage and they eventually lost in the tournament, I think, to me, they've actually achieved something, you know, because they are one of the smallest country participating in this tournament. And if they can get to that stage, first of all, being qualified for the first time ever, it's an achievement on its own, because if Nigeria cannot do that, they can, right? So, and they have the same opportunity as Nigeria, right? And they were able to do that. So I think they would be very surprising thing for me to see them actually, you know, playing to that level of, you know, winning some of the games. But of course, you know, there is going to be, you know, not every team is going to be at the final. Definitely there will be some that will not make it. But I also wanted to talk about Germany, because we've seen their performance for the last two tournaments. It's horrible.
It's very, very horrible.
So do you think this tournament they are going to really perform really well?
Well, I don't know. Obviously, you know, they are actually one of the giants of, you know, world football. We know that, you know. And considering how poorly they've been performing in recent time, well, I think they would want to prove a point, you know. Well, I've watched their games a couple of times, but I don't see any intriguing thing, you know, that they've been able to add, right? Apart from, you know, what they've been playing over the years, like in the last couple of years, and how they've deteriorated, you know, when it comes to world football and all that. But like I said, this is the World Cup. there's a different kind of mentality every team comes with. Do you understand? So I feel like they would try to prove a point, try to put in their best, and like if they go on to get to the quarterfinals, semifinals, they actually did a very great job, right? But I won't be surprised if they go past that, or get to the finals. But what I'm trying to say in effect is I don't see them, right, getting to that particular point, to that particular stage, like the finals or the semifinals. If they get to that stage, that's fine and good for them. I won't still be surprised. But when it comes to like top teams, from what we've seen based on performance, I think Germany is just below. If you want to start ranking amongst like the giants of world football and all that, Spain, France, Portugal, and the rest of Argentina, Chile, Uruguay, and so on and so forth. So Germany have actually deteriorated, when it comes to how they're actually known to be playing for a long period of time. So they would want to prove a point. So let's just hope and see if they can actually do better than what it is they are doing now.
Okay. Well, let's hope. So moving on, this is going to be a very interesting one. Do you think Mbappe will perform in this tournament? Because I think that, first of all, I think him being in Real Madrid is not what he's expecting. That's what I think, right? Because when he left PSG, PSG now won the Champions League back-to-back, and still currently hasn't have any Champions League medal to his name, right? So, but we shouldn't define a player just because of what they've achieved in terms of cup and so on. We can actually look at their merits and their skills and how they perform, So I think, because I'm a huge Mbappe fan. I have to just make that clear.
Likewise.
I'm a huge Mbappe fan, and I think that he's a phenomenal player. But in this tournament, do you think that we are going to see that Mbappe of the years of, when he came to PSG, when he was playing in Monaco, and his performance in the 2020, was it 2016 or 2018? No, the Russia 2018, right?
2018,
we saw what he did in that tournament.
Yeah.
It was it was fire, right? So do you think that we are going to see that Mbappe in this tournament?
Absolutely, of course. Mbappe is a very, very fantastic player. And I don't know if you want to judge him for not being able to like win a trophy in Real Madrid. I mean,
I don't think I'm judging him.
Yeah, individually.
But I think it was an expectation from him.
Yeah. But like I said, he's not. He actually did his best. Individually, he actually, was a very better player last season. He emerged the Champions League highest goal scorer. So, and also the league top scorer, right? Real Madrid's top scorer and stuff like that. So when it comes to individual performance, he actually did very well. It's just a collective performance that that would want to put him out of this equation. You get the point. So if he actually takes his individual performance that he had like this season that just ended into the World Cup, absolutely he's going to do better. He's going to do well. Right. We all know how important Mbappe is to the France national team, and the team is actually built around him, right? So I don't think there's any problem, I don't think there will be any problem. I don't think he's not gonna perform the way he used to perform, right? I feel like he's good. He's in shape. Like I said, individually he performed very good last season, and I'm sure he's going to take that same form down to the World Cup 2026. So Mbappe is actually going to do better at the World Cup.
Right. So now, who is your top two player that you think they would probably get to the point of win the Golden Boots, or highest goal scorer? Who do you think
in the World Cup?
Yeah.
Mbappe should be one of them.
Okay.
And
not Lamine Yamal.
He might become he might be the best player.
Right.
Lamine Yamal is not really much of a player that he scores goals, right? But he's not a player who is being judged by goals.
Okay,
do you understand?
He skillful? Because to be honest with you, it's been a long time since I watched Barcelona game. So
yeah, he's a creator, right? As well as a good goal scorer as well. So, but he's not being judged by how much of how like number of goals that he scores and all that. What he's being judged for is his creativity level, and all-round play. He's a very fantastic player. He can create when there's no chance to score. He can actually put up something and then lay up, some good passes for his teammates to score and all that. So you can actually say Lamine Yamal is going to be measured by goal scoring. Do you understand? That's why I don't want to count him amongst the players that might become like among the players that might end up becoming top scorers in the World Cup, right? He can go on to do that, of course, just like Messi. We all know Messi. Messi is not measured by goals. There are a lot of things that he can actually do that doesn't even concern goal scoring.
Right.
Being creative, linking up play and all that. He has that in him. That's one thing that I know Lamine Yamal also has in him. So I can't actually put him there, by saying he's going to be one of the top 2 goal scorers in the World Cup. If he eventually becomes that, that's fine. He's capable of becoming that. I know that, but I don't think I'll put him there. So Mbappe should be my first person, and I'm trying to see which other striker do we even have in world football. Haaland should have been
like
there,
the best
but it
goal
depends.
scorer?
Yeah, goal scorers.
Because I was about to mention his name. I was thinking that he would probably be if his teammates really work with him.
It depends on Norway has a very slim chance, right? And it's going to actually limit him, right? When it comes to having
the
chances, compete
against the likes of France and so on,
and all that. So I don't know, Mbappe and maybe Vinicius Junior.
Oh, I think so. Yeah. I absolutely have forgotten about Brazil. We need to talk about Brazil.
Yeah.
Because that team, I think this World Cup, I think they are going to really shine as well. I think they will shine.
And why do you think so?
Because, first of all, because of Vinicius Junior. That guy is hot. I'm telling you. That guy is a very skillful, hot player that people should be very, very careful. Because have you seen Vinicius when he play? When he actually play with players that, work with him.
I know.
He's very selfish. But if you actually say, give it to Vinicius Jr. in that left wing, was it left wing?
Left
wing.
Right? Left wing.
He really performed well. So I'm looking forward to him. And I think that he's going to really shine in this tournament. And I believe that he can, if he sees a teammate that support him, I think he can really compete for the best player of the tournament.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, Brazil have a very good squad. Yeah, I think they can actually go far. But there's one thing I didn't like about the Brazil national team. I mean, Ancelotti's decision not to have called up João Pedro.
João Pedro.
João Pedro would have been a very big addition to the Brazil's national team, because looking at the attackers, right, that was called up by Carlo Ancelotti.
Mm-hmm.
I think 2 of those attackers, I don't think, in all ramifications, I don't think any of those 2, right, was very much better than João Pedro as at last season, right? João Pedro, imagine Chelsea's highest goal scorer and Chelsea's best player, and he was dropped from the national team. It doesn't really make sense. And this is a player who can play. You can deploy him as a striker, as a centre forward. He can also play as an attacking midfielder. He can play on the left, on the right. He's very versatile.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So having to see a player like that not being called up is I don't even understand the reason why he was not called up, and there is no justification whatsoever. You know, I saw that Ancelotti actually put up a statement, apologizing for not calling him up and saying it was. I don't just want to even go into details. There's no point. There's no reason.
It will be very disappointing, of course.
Martinelli will have limited time in the World Cup, because Vinicius Junior is going to be on the left wing. Martinelli can only do better on the left wing. You understand? You have Vinicius there. So what is the essence of taking a player like Martinelli? Was it because he's among the Arsenal's team that won the Premier League? Yeah, he's a good player, decent player, but there's no reason whatsoever to justify his selection ahead of João Pedro.
João Pedro.
Then you have Igor Thiago from Brentford. On what grounds? On what grounds did you have to take Igor Thiago ahead of João Pedro? Do you understand? Endrick. Well, I can excuse Endrick's situation, because towards the end of the season he started performing and all, even though he wasn't really given much of the opportunity to perform in Real Madrid, and he was loaned down to Lyon, and then he picked up himself there, and then he had a very great season towards the end of the season, right? Maybe his reasons for calling him up is justifiable, but having João Pedro sit at home while the likes of Igor Thiago and Martinelli, goes to the World Cup I don't think that's a very wise decision, from Carlo Ancelotti.
Right. Well, this is a big tournament, and we are going to be watching every part of it. It's going to be difficult because the time zone and the time it falls here, but definitely a lot of us are going to be watching that game, and we are going to be enjoying it and having fun with it and seeing exciting players and different skills.
Yeah.
But as we've said, all the things that we think that is going to, in our opinion, about what is currently going on around the tournament. But we are looking forward to the start of the game, and we are going to be rooting for our favorite teams. So we hope everyone have fun with the World Cup and enjoy the tournament, and onto the next one that is going to be in Europe, which I think is going to be phenomenal. But I want us to, move on from that. Do you have any other thing that you want to add into that, to the World Cup? Any stories, anything that, our viewers need to know about?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, apart from the fact that it's going to be difficult for, so many people in Africa and Europe to stay up late to watch the game because of the time zone, just like you highlighted. But you know what it is. For the love of the game, there are a lot of people that don't mind staying awake just to
for the love of football. There's nothing you can do regarding that
and all of that. So it's going to actually be an interesting tournament. Even though the U.S. government, for some reason, they are beginning to make it a bit difficult and make people feel like the World Cup is not worth it. You know, we've not had. Over the years, I don't think there's been any negativity surrounding the World Cup.
Well,
going into the World Cup,
definitely. Sorry for stepping in.
Yeah,
I think there's always been something like that.
When was that?
During the Qatar World Cup, I saw many speculation about because they have this law that you don't drink, and
that's. It's different. I mean, the negativity.
Yeah, but it's like.
But
it's like news.
You didn't get like visa rejections.
No, not about that.
Scrutiny, towards the players and all that. Yeah, this is their law. It's more like you don't have to drink. You don't have to, but it didn't stop you from moving around, going in, and all. That's what we're talking about. And the expenses. Ahead of the 2026 World Cup, like the prices of tickets and everything, we have not seen such ridiculous amounts of money being spent for things like this. Regarding the World Cup before.
It's ridiculous.
It's actually making people feel very, very bad about it.
Right.
And it's one of the most this World Cup is actually less talked about compared to other World Cups.
Right.
Because
it's just too First of all, you are traveling to America.
The World Cup started getting much more
attention,
momentum, more attention. I think just recently.
Yeah. I think, you have to consider traveling to America. Going to America is not a joke.
Yeah.
It's hours. And the flight alone, at least you have to budget €1,000. And €1,000 is for economy seats.
Yeah.
So add that into factor, then the ticket itself, it's, over the roof. And then your accommodation for maybe 2 weeks, then you want to stay there.
Mm-hmm.
So I've heard that there are some people in the UK that are going to get loan just because of going to the World Cup. And there are some people that are taking mortgage against their properties to get, to be able to go. So I think it's ridiculous. I think a lot of people are going to be home to watch it. So, well, it's US. It's a big country. They have a lot of population. There are people can go and watch it and experience a true football rather than what they call football. Yeah. So, yeah, I think so. But anyway, I hope everyone have fun with this World Cup, and we're going to be
absolutely,
talking more about it in when the tournaments actually start. We're going to be talking more about it. This is a very interesting conversation because I really enjoy our time together, as always. Bringing different things about what we think, about our opinion. So once you watch this episode, please share what you think about different things that we touch base on in the world of football. We need your comments. We need you to share. We need you to follow. And our handles on every social media is Your Opinion Podcast. So stay connected and subscribe. Thank you.